Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Kim and this is my absolutely definitely chaotic crafty emporium this week. It has been a week. It has really been a week. I've had a few things going on and it's just been frying the brains a little bit, but it is Friday afternoon. There is a market tomorrow and it is market number 7 out of 10, so we are getting towards the end. This is my regular market that I do once a month. Hopefully it's going to be a good one this time. It's been up and down, and it's always been up and down, but that's okay. I just had a look at the weather for tomorrow. It's supposed to be a high of 33 Celsius, but my app is saying rain from 11, and we know my app over the last few weeks has been less than reliable. So I don't know that rain is necessarily going to happen. Actually, it says slight chance of a shower in the morning and the afternoon, chance of a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Well, we pack up at about 1 o'clock. Winds 15 to 25, increasing to 45. 45 is tricky. 45 kilometres an hour is a tricky wind. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see if they call that for tomorrow. I don't think. All right, so there's no rain overnight. So the council will not close the park. It's just up to whether the organisers are going to gamble with the rain. Given that it's at 11 o'clock and it's been a bit on and off for the last few weeks, they might just say to us, let's just chance it. So we'll see. I've been prepping anyway because I only just looked at the forecast now and it's I have no idea what time it is. It's a bit after 4, I think. So, oh, there's a clock right behind me there. I can't read it from this far away. It looks to be about 25 past 4. So, yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed that one goes ahead, although I have to say I won't be heartbroken if it doesn't because it's been 6 weeks of constant markets each weekend and another 3 weekends to go because we've got a double one coming up soon and 2 nighttime markets, which I haven't done before. So let's have a look at what I did this week. My plan this week was to restock the key rings because I got hammered with the key rings last weekend. I think I sold like 11 from memory. So I did just a few key rings, not too many because I still have a lot, but I thought I'll just fill up some gaps. So I made 3 little pineapples, and these are all freehand, there's no patterns. 3 little pineapples, and they've just got a ring on the top, which I've got to secure. I don't like the jump ring. I have seen some people put a dot of glue, and I just tried that, but it was very messy, so I'm not sure what I'll do with that. But anyway, 3 pineapples. I only did 2 chickens because I got sick of doing chickens, so I just did 2, and they're just hanging by one of those little doodads. So that's those. I did 2 strawberries, and I'll tell you about the yarn in a little while. So just 2 strawberries, they're about that size, you can see. So I guess these are more bag charms than they are key rings. 1 little itsy bitsy tiny weeny octopus, and he is made with some of that velvet yarn that we got from Spotlight recently in the big cakes. And I don't know what the colour was called. And I will not say colourway. You cannot pay me enough to say colourway when I refer to colours. I'm going to say colours, so be it. So that was all the key rings that I did. 3 pineapples, 2 chickens, 2 strawberries, and a rando little octopus. I may do something more tonight, but I'm not real fussed on that at the moment. So then I wanted to, because I sold out of Lucky Dips, and my Lucky Dips were the tail end of my smaller category that I don't keep anymore. So if I want to do Lucky Dips or mini mystery bags, I have to do those specifically. So I just pulled a few things together. So using some more velvet yarn, there's just a little octopus. So you can see it's that big. I'm going to put that in a bag with a lanyard thing that I made that is not selling. Got a little turtle, and I may put a lanyard in the bag as well. I'll think about that, but that turtle was not a lot of work, but more work than an octopus by the time you do those flippers and sew the head on, and yeah, so I might just leave that as is. A little octopus, which I'll definitely put something extra in the bag with, probably another keychain of some sort. And then, I forgot to write down the name of the pattern, so I'll have to put it up on here. I actually used a pattern. Oh no, I've got it. It's on my iPad. So this was a website, and you've got no idea what I'm talking about because I haven't even shown you yet. I made a little frog. And it's really, really cute because I like the eyebrows. Look at those little eyebrows that you do. And it's just got bobble feet, bobble hands, no bud, it's just a little squish. And yeah, so that is from a website called Yarn Society. They have some free stuff, so yarnsociety.com. I do love the way that you do those eyebrows in the front loop and then put the little eyes underneath. So that is going into a mini mystery bag. Then I have a whole lot of these googly eyes, and so I have done a googly eye octopus. I like these because you can go like that, you can go like that, and just give them a little bit of extra personality. So she will go into a mystery bag, and I will put a pink sticker on the front so that I can give people a heads up just in case. Then I made this one to go in a mystery bag, but it turned out way too big, so I'm going to put it in with my smalls. So this is some nice aqua coloured little googly eyes that I found in the Halloween party stuff at a supermarket. So another little octopus, well, not so little, it's a big chunky octopus with some googly eyes on top as well. They don't go so great out in the general shelving. Yeah, I don't know why. I think they're cute, but you know. Anyway, so that'll go into the smalls, and then if it doesn't sell after a few weeks, I will give up and I'll put it into a mystery bag. So at the moment, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mystery bags. But again, it's getting closer and closer to Christmas now, so I don't know how the mystery bags will go, if people are going to stop buying for fun. Yeah, so I might just do a couple and I'll see if they sell then, or if it looks like there's lots of kids coming, then yeah, I may do that. Yeah, we have a family nighttime market at a local club, so I feel like the mystery bags will go there, and I may have to just restock a few things for that. So then out of my small stuff, as well as this little guy, I just did 2 more loaf cats, nothing fancy, just a little black and white patch one, and then some of this nice chunky pink mill end that I found, and that's it. That's all I've got for my smalls. All of that stuff was freehanded except for the frog, which came from the Yarn Society website. Look at me using a pattern like a grown-up. So then I just made what I felt like after, I don't know, I think I might have shown you this last week. I finished this when I was working on this when I was at markets last week, and I may have finished it before the recap. I'm fairly certain I did, but anyway, I've got 1 jellyfish to go in. I sold 1 jellyfish last week, but yeah, some weeks I sell a few, some weeks I sell none, so best to have some in stock. Last week I sold 2 green turtles, so I made this one. Its shell is out of that variegated mill end, and its body is out of the green velvet from Spotlight. And then this one out of my absolute favourite ever mill end, this one with the teal and then the rusty colour in it, and then that's just got a burnout mysticals on there. I tried the heads a different way on these. Normally I just do the head as a separate circle and then I attach it to the front, but this time I sewed the gap closed flat and sewed the head on as a flat piece. You can see it there. So it's slightly different. I have put a little stitch at the back though to pin it up a little bit so it doesn't flip around so much. I did it with this one as well, except that for this one I made the flat piece just a little bit shorter. I'm not sure if I like that or not, because normally I just do the shell and then I stitch the head on when it's all finished. With this one though, you have to stuff the head, add the head, and this is just my own brain. There's no pattern for this. I just wing this whole thing. So, you know, it's my own fault if I didn't like it. But with the head, I found that going round and round to do the belly was just annoying, having the head there as well. So I don't know that I will continue doing it that way. I might just go back to sewing the head on because it doesn't really take that long, but I just thought I'd try something different, and the jury's out. We'll see. So yeah, 2 green turtles. So they're going in my chunks. And also going in my chunks, if you're on my Instagram, you may have seen the little video I put up with these guys the other day. And these are the 2 little koalas that were on my shelf behind me, and they ran off and climbed up the tree. They are crocheted by Lila on Instagram. They are a nice, easy pattern, although the first one took me a really long time and I can't remember why. The first one took me like 3 hours and I was really tossing up whether to make another one. I'm not sure what happened why it took me I remember why it took me 3 hours, because I absolutely royally stuffed up the ears, and so I had to redo the ears a couple of times. Also, I did this one. If I take if I take its pants off, you can see I've done the legs where you do the two legs and then you join them and go around and around to do the body. I hate doing that. I absolutely hate doing that. So when I did the second one, I made some changes. The thing I love about this one though is its face has turned out really low down, and so it's really kind of cute the way its face is really low on the head. I enjoy that. So there's one little koala that will go into my big chunks. Actually, I'm thinking I might put the koalas, because they've got clothes, I think I'm going to put them in fancy chunks and make the price a little bit higher. So with this one, I did slightly different to the pattern. Did I tell you who the pattern's by? I think I did. Crocheted by Lila. It's free on Instagram. Now, with this one, what I did differently was I made the legs separate and I stitched them on to the bottom of the belly. And let me just take the pants off. I know that you're not supposed to make modifications to patterns, but I'm not publishing the modification. I'm just doing it because it suits me, because of ways that I don't like working. So naked koala, sorry about that. So I did the legs separately. I just did the body from the leg pattern up. So I just made sure that there were 20 stitches. And the arms, which you're supposed to put on the top of the body and then put the head on, I joined the body and then the head, and then I attached the arms in afterwards because I just felt like it. And this one was much, much faster than the other one that I did. I had already worked out how I wanted to do the ears from the other one, and I didn't do the ears the same way as the pattern. For these ears, I did a white half circle and a grey half circle, exactly the same size, and then I went around and joined them together with the grey. There is a pattern for ears on there, but again, I'm going to do what suits me because I need things to be a little bit faster for market prep. And that one involved a little bit of embroidery to cover up a misplaced colour in the actual pattern. The pattern itself is great, and to have something like this free is just amazing. So that Crocheted by Lila is really generous of that person to share a pattern like this quality for free. So absolutely no criticism of the pattern, and I cannot get this koala dressed again. His little pants are all tangled up. So with both of these koalas, I used Burnout Mysticals, a blue and a green. I don't know what the name of that colour actually is. Why can I not get this koala dressed again? Why won't you get dressed? I'm going to leave a half-naked koala just sitting there, so let's pretend that never happened. All right, 2 koalas. So then I made an Eeyore once from a free pattern on the Instagrams again, and my goodness, like I've put a couple of free patterns, but they're really, really dodgy, right? People who make these really, really detailed patterns and put them up for free, kudos to them. It's absolutely amazing of them. So this Eeyore pattern is by @knit_ on the Instagram. It's free, and I sold one, and then I thought, being me and you know how my brain works, I thought, right, I've run out of that color, I can never make an Eeyore again. But I did it in a different pale blue, and it still looks like Eeyore, so very clearly an Eeyore. So it's in a pale blue from Mill Ends. It's in a beige that I found on a website somewhere, and it's in a pale pink. I want to say that's actually the Aldi pink, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. It's either the Aldi pink or it's the Motivera, but it doesn't feel like Motivera. It might be 2 strands of Aldi pink. I couldn't tell you. I don't remember. The hair is, and the black details and things, they're just a black cotton. And there's a little tail. So this one's great. The head's on a hinge, so it can be down like a sploot or it can sit up like that. It's got a honkin' big nose, which I absolutely love. So that is coming to markets tomorrow too in my fancy chunks. And that one is free on the Instagram by @knit_. Then I cannot tell you why. I have absolutely no idea why. I made a dragon. If you've been around for a while, you know I'm not a great fan of dragons. Not that I dislike them, but they just don't interest me in the slightest. I have made a couple. They do not sell. I have a huge big one that I did as a tester call for someone. I'll put a picture up here. It has not sold, and I'm not reducing the price because the amount of work in that the detail on the wings, the detail on the tail was just insane. That was by Amigos. I'm going to put the name. I'm going to have to put the name up afterwards. It'll be here, obviously, for you now, but I can't think of the name. Something to do with Amigos. It's a lovely man in America who has done a series of dragons. When I say America, United States, and yeah, it's funny actually. I just thought of it. His market stalls when he does them are exactly the same color as this dragon. This dragon was a free pattern. And it's about twice the size I expected it to be. I looked at the dragon pattern. I thought, oh yeah, that's pretty tiny. I'll do that one. That'll be a nice small dragon. No, it wasn't. Look how big it is. It's at least 30, maybe 40 centimeters. Big ass dragon. This one is Tank the Tiny Dragon by Not Magic, Knott Magic on Instagram, and it is free. So it's just a start at the head, go to the tail, add the wings on later, add the spines on later, and you're done. I did that in the mint colour from Motivera Blankie, with the other green being the velvet yarn from the new cakes at Spotlight. So just those back and forth wings with the little tips on them. I'm thinking it's a bit bland at the moment, so if I can be bothered this evening, I was thinking of maybe putting something glittery or fluffy or something down the back there, or I don't know, putting some extra detail on it. I'm not real fussed on it at the moment, but again, I'm not a great dragon fan. So, if you're a dragon fan, let me know what you think of that one. Look, I don't hate it. It's got a beautiful shape and it worked up. The pattern was incredible. Everything aligned. And, me with stitch counts. Stitch counts are just just a very vague suggestion. So this was really good. I did not have to adjust any rows. The nose, whatever these things are on a dragon, the horns, the little bobbles on the feet, everything aligned as the pattern said it would. So that was fabulous. Nothing tricky about this at all, except for this. I found that really difficult to get on. I think maybe because this green being a Motivera Blankie is really stiff, and this green being a velvet is really slippery, and stiff and slippery is apparently not good in some circumstances. Who knew? So yeah, that is Tank the Tiny Dragon. He is not tiny. I assume that that's being sarcastic. So unless you do it in a smaller yarn. But yeah, Tank the Tiny Dragon will go into my fancy chonks. Here's me being super positive. I don't expect to sell this because dragons just don't sell for me. I think I sold 2 and that's it in 2 years. Anyway, we'll give Tank a go. So that was Tank, and Eeyore was from Cat Knits, Koala was Crochet by Lila, and I think that's everything that I made. Looking at the table in front of me, I'm kind of a little organised. Yep, that's everything I made. So I don't know what I'll make tonight. I'll have a little think about that. I may try to decorate Tank, but for something that's going to sit there for a while, watch, that'll go tomorrow then. For something that's going to sit there a while, I don't know that I want to put too much more on it because I can't make it cost anymore because people just won't buy things over say, $35, $40. I haven't found anyone even remotely interested. Actually, I lie. That red dragon that I showed you before, Ignis, was someone actually was tossing up between that and something small, and I'm like, please, please, please take Ignis, because Ignis was $50 and she was legit thinking about it. I showed it to somebody at work the other day, and her family is Chinese, and she said, oh, you've got to get that out there to the Chinese people. They'll love it. And I'm like, well, I can't get any more Chinese people than I actually do at the markets that I'm at. So if they've seen it and they didn't want it, I don't know. But, I did suggest she could buy it for her family, but no. So this morning I hopped in the car because it's Friday and I don't work Fridays. I hopped in the car and I went over to, the sewing basket, because I wanted to go to Spotlight. They had 40% off yarn, and I wanted to go to Spotlight, and the sewing basket is only 10 minutes further than Spotlight, so it's really not out of the way at all. So I popped in there, and all round it was an underwhelming yarn haul day. I did, however, as I walked into, so the sewing basket's a donation place where people donate the things that they don't want. It's all mostly unused yarns and craft things. As I walked in, there was in the pile where people drop things off to be donated. There was some chenille caught my eye, so I went inside and had a little look around, and it was a really little look around because I could just tell at a quick glance that there hadn't been a restock for a while. And the baskets of colours, so they have a big long shelf, and they've got these great big like IKEA baskets, and they're done by colour. And just a quick glance, I could see most of them were things that had been there for quite a while. What I did manage to grab though, and I'm not sure why I picked it up, probably because it was just $2, but was this ball of dark grey nippers. That's a Bella Baby from Spotlight. It's a velvet, but it's very tricky to get. It's gappy unless you have a really small hook. But I'll do something with that because I did something with the blue nippers and it turned out okay. So I might do some little keychainy things or some. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking shark, but I haven't found a good shark pattern. So if you've got a good shark pattern, let me know. So yeah, that was $2. It's a bit of a mess, but it's a brand new ball. Then I found this Annie Blatt yarn, which was really nice. And this again was $2, unused. And this is chicken nugget coloured, but you can see it's a very, very thin chenille. But that's okay because I can double strand that. So for $2 to get 100 metres, 100 metres. So if I double strand that, that's just going to be a nice chenille thickness, and I will do some chicken nuggets with that one. So that was $2 for that, $2 for the nippers. And that was all that I got off the shelf. So then I went back to the counter and I asked the lady if it was possible to buy the things that were still in the donation box. And she's like, yeah, go and get it and we'll work out a price. Hooray. So I ended up getting 3 of this. And you can see that that's just a nice chenille. It's a decent thickness. And it's round. It's not got any flatness to it at all. I did have a little bit of a pull on the end there. Oh, okay. I was just going to say it doesn't shed, but turns out it does. Look at that. So anyway, that's a 100-gram ball. It's not a fancy brand. It's made in China, distributed by Genmark Imports in Moorabbin, which is down in Victoria. I don't know what Genmark is. Someone else might know. But anyway, I got 3 balls of this. It's called Crimson Chenille Knitting Yarn. Nothing fancy at all, but 3 of those 100-gram balls, never used, and that was $5 for the 3. So that was pretty good. And then I dug around the bottom of the box and I found some more yarn. And this is actually looks to me like a really old, it's a Motivera. It's got Motivera, there we go, Motivera Hope. It's shiny like a velvet. You can see that it's kind of glossy, but it's not like a velvet. It feels more like a blankety chenille velvet. So whatever a hybrid of all those 3 things is, and that's what I made the strawberry out of. So it worked up quite well. It sheds when you cut the ends, but working through it, no issue at all. It slides nicely on the hook. It's lovely and thick, and it's a beautiful, deep, rich red colour. And it's just got that slight velvety sheen to it. So I ended up with, I want to say 9 of these. And it's a 50-gram ball, I think. Let me check. Yep, it's a 50-gram ball. And I got 9 of these for $5. So I'm pretty stoked with that. I don't use red very often though, so any red suggestions would be great. I have got an Elmo. Elmo has not sold. My first one did. My second one did not. So I'm not going to make another Elmo, and it's not quite the right colour. It's a little bit dark and rich. It's really lovely. It's not coming out on the screen. It's looking more tomato-y on the screen. It's actually really deep crimson, almost a burgundy. So yeah, 9 of those, 3 of those, $10 altogether. So that's pretty good. So then, because there was nothing fancy happening at the sewing basket, I nipped around the corner into the shopping centre and I went to Spotlight. I was hoping for some great mill ends because mill ends are $8.40 this week. And then the Motivera Blankie would have probably been around $8.40 as well. There was nothing in the mill ends. The basket itself was nearly empty, so it wasn't even just a matter of it being full of acrylics. It was completely empty. There was lots of Motivera in colours that I just don't need, so I didn't even look twice at those. Well, I looked a few times at those just to see if they'd changed colour while I wasn't looking. But no, they were still in peach and blue, and God knows I don't need any blue. lots and lots of Jolly and Joy Christmas yarn, and my goodness, I love that stuff, the way it sparkles, but I have absolutely no use for it, so I left it behind because I've still got some that I bought last Christmas. They had some more of that velvet yarn in the cakes, but there's sort of colours that I don't really think I'll use much of because there was reds and pinks and I've already got those ones. But also they had lost their labels and were untangling, and I have learnt my lesson in that yarn, and it is not going to be coming home with me to untangle again. So the only thing I ended up with at Spotlight was one of these new Blanky Sorbet value balls. This was $10.80, I want to say. Yeah, so it's 300 grams, it's 180 meters, so that's fabulous. And these are a nice ombre. I don't know if you can see that especially well. I've turned my camera around so I get a bit more daylight, reflected daylight on me at the moment. So yeah, so this one, does it have a name? Let's see if it's got a color on it. Is it? Oh, it's called Almond. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's called Almond, so I'll just see if I can shade that for you. So it's a kind of a taupe color in the middle, going out to a nice cream on the edge. Yeah, there's the color it is, if you can see that. It's quite nice. There was green and there was blue. There was none of the purple one left, but I got this one because I thought this will do for a cat pattern that I have. I made this cat and it sold on the first day I took it, and it's really big. It's a sleeve. I can't even tell you the name of the pattern. I'll try and, in between now and editing, I'll try and find a picture of it and put it up here. It's a long cat laying down sleeping, and it's not like it's kind of like, it's like a loaf, but it's more like it's got the head, it's got the body, and then the tail curls around the front, and it's quite big. Like I said, it comes out quite big, and I just thought this might be nice to do the cat with, because the gradient, the cat would be big enough that the gradient would work towards the end. I just haven't worked out whether I'm going to do a center pull and start with a brown face, or start with a beige face and do a brown, head towards brown at the end. So we'll see. Yeah, I don't know yet. So that's the plan for that one. I've got no plans as yet for this or this. Oh, there you go. Look, you can see the difference in the colours there slightly. So I've got no plans for that. So 3 of those, 9 of those, any ideas would be fabulous. Anything other than nuggets that you can suggest for this colour, but this screams nuggets to me. I don't know why. I might make some more nugget key rings actually. That might be what I do tonight, is nugget key rings. Anything that you can suggest for the dark grey. And as always, I've got lots and lots and lots, insane, obscene amounts of blue. So if you've got any suggestions for light blue, dark blue, mid blue, navy blue, glitter blue, throw them at me. I'm going to try my best tomorrow to be better at doing market video stuff, because I know I suck at that. It slips my mind completely while I'm at markets. Which should be no surprise to anybody. And I am a bit scattered this week. Yeah, as I said, I think I said in the last video, I was doing a job application over the weekend. I put that in on Tuesday, and I have spent the week then waiting. And I'm not actually fussed. I'm honestly not fussed if I don't get that position. It's just a relieving position. So I've still got my job. I'm not changing workplaces or anything, but it's just yeah, like I said, I'm not fussed if I get it or not, but it's just that all of those emotions and things that and all of those what ifs and what happens when, and how will it work, how will it look this way and how will it look that way, and yeah, so it's just all the possibilities that I can't quite filter out, and I know anyway. So it's been a week. It's been as I said to Tracy, it's been a bit of a roller coaster week, and so I'm hoping that I can just sort of decompress at markets tomorrow. If I forget to do some filming at markets tomorrow, it's because my brain is still in a million places. It doesn't function well at the best of times, coping with things like that. So yeah, we'll see. It's a little bit of a mess up there sometimes. Anyway, I have to actually go and do market bingo because it's my turn this week. So I'll send that to Victoria, and I hope I'm not too late for her to do a video. And I apologise again. I'm probably sure I'm going to apologise in a few minutes when I get off here, and to Victoria, and say sorry, forgot to do it yesterday. I said I would, but I ended up on a class yesterday listening to 12-year-old boys learning about how babies are made. Yeah, that was a 90 minutes. That was that's 90 minutes where I earned my money. Yeah, that was interesting. So yes, I completely forgot about market bingo yesterday. I was going to do it at lunchtime, and then I worked through lunch, and I was going to do it at recess, and I can't remember what happened at recess. Oh, the kids were inside, so I didn't get a recess. So yeah, anyway, long story short, I'm going to do market bingo now, and then I'm going to make something else, and then I will hopefully be at markets tomorrow. Not fussed if I'm not, though, because it will be nice to have a weekend at home. And then I will catch up with you on a Sunday video. So see you in just a few minutes for you. Okay, it is Saturday afternoon, markets is done, and I don't even know where to begin. Probably with the video that I took to start with, so let's just go in order. And I will just really quickly show you the video that I took on the way back from the car after I unpacked and then put the car away. And you can just see the pile of stuff that I've got to set up, so that's not very exciting, and it's only a couple of seconds long. It's market day, it's 6:50. I've just unpacked the car and I've parked the car, and I'm heading to my spot, which is my regular one, all the way down the other end. I'm just going to flip the camera and show you what's happening here today. So not many people here yet because it's a bit early, but there's a Christmas tree, a few people getting ready. Way down the other end of the park here. Way down here is a spot for me. Morning. How you doing?
Good.
It's always good. Check me out being positive. So here we are. It's the bottom half of the park. So there's the bottom skinny half. There's the big top half. I don't actually get much of a chance to pop up there and have a look around, but there's some nice stuff. That lady there that I was just talking to, we see her at most of the markets. Flowers. And here we are. My pile of crap. My gazebo yet to be opened. My weights because it's going to be windy as hell today. And this is my spot. No shade, so the sun's going to come up and over and right through my tent, but that's okay. There we go. All right, 6:50. Let's see how long this takes. Okay, so that's where we started. It's my regular market. It was my regular spot. Victoria had the spot next to me. I was awake really early, so I got there about half an hour before I normally do. Setup was no issue. I actually set up in about an hour 45, which was great. I did have a different layout, so I'm going to show you that quick whip around video just to show you where I put things, because as I said last time, I bought a new rack. I put my grids back up, but I put different things on them. It's been a bit of a week and my head was all over the place, and I don't know that I was actually planning it out especially well. So let's just have a quick whip around, have a look at what was in the stall, where things were. Slightly different layout, but yeah, that's it. Let's just check that out. That was probably the best part of the day. That was early, probably oh gosh, that would have been, what time did I finish packing? I finished setting up about 8:40ish. So yeah, it was, that was early. That's when everything looked good. And then most things just kind of went downhill from there. The weather forecast was for rain later, winds later. And me having done 2 years worth of this type of markets this go around, I should have known better than to not double check that I had everything I needed in the car, because I only had 3 of my weights. So one of my gazebo legs missed out on a weight, not usually an issue. I knew that there was some wind forecast, and so I really wanted to not put my canopy over the top. And I was sort of tossing up, do I take it off? Because I know it's better when it's not on there if there's a bit of a breeze. But then it started raining. And not heavy rain, but enough that I wouldn't have wanted to not have a canopy on. And then it stopped raining. And then it started raining. And then it stopped. And then it started. And so canopy stayed up. I had a sidewall up just to block the very early morning sun as I was setting up and just getting organised. And I had intended to take that down, but I forgot it was there. I had a back wall up because there's a footpath immediately behind, and I prefer not to have the back of the business end of my stall open to a footpath that's only 1 foot away. So I had the back wall up too. Yeah, so it was really quiet. It was really quiet for everybody. There was hardly anybody walking around, which makes sense, because if they're predicting rain and wind, then who the heck's going to get out of bed to go and wander around a random craft stall? So as far as sales go, let's get that out of the way. 3 key rings, a peach, a pineapple, and a donut. A small pig, which I have shown you before. It is a mini version of Big Fat Pig, about so big, about the size of an orange really. And another elephant, which was also about the same size, about the size of an orange. 2 things from my smalls category. From my mids, I sold a yellow and black bee. And that's it. That's it. 1 mid, 2 small, 3 key rings. For a grand total of, I haven't even worked that out yet, 28 and 18 and 15. So 18 and 15 is 33, 33 and 28, so that's what, $61? Don't double check my maths, but I'm pretty sure that's $61. The stall was $50. I spent $12 because I saw something that I can put away for my mother's birthday, which is coming up just after Christmas. So $61, $50 for the stall. That market owes me at least $1. So why was it so absolute shite? Because the wind happened, and because I forgot that I had a wall up, and I forgot one of my weights. I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. And after we spent some time each picking things up, because so the wind blew some of Victoria's stands over, and once things started fall, like signs kind of blew away, a business card blew away, 1 or 2 things fell off a shelf, and that's completely normal for a breezy day. Okay with that. But then it sort of got bigger, and Victoria was holding on to her gazebo, which I don't think was going anywhere because she had those clamp-on weights around each of the legs, and mine was looking relatively stable-ish. But then, the wind was gusting, and it was gusting really strong. It had to be around, 25, 30 Ks. It doesn't sound a lot, but, when you're trying to hold things together, it's a lot. So yeah, Vic lost a few things. Then I lost a few more things. A whole few rows blew off. And after that, I think things happened really quickly because it's all kind of a bit of a blur and I can't really pull it all together. Um, I know I've got some aftermath photos here, but I know Victoria was saying that one of her stands broke and everything fell off that, and then she had a rack full of pens and that all fell over, and I was trying to pick up some things that had fallen off, and then Victoria called out, and then suddenly my gazebo was in the air. And Victoria's on one bit of it, and the girl from the store next to me, she was on the other side of it and trying to hold it down. And so the lady opposite me had already come over and she said, "Look, I think you better take your wall down." And I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'd better take my wall down. I completely forgot it was up there. Had completely forgot." So I took the wall down, and then started sort of packing some things up, and and then the whole thing, I messaged Victoria just a little while ago and she said, yeah, it was the leg that didn't have a weight on it that lifted up. And then the canopy just, you know how it goes. It just twisted like a sail, and it took off like it just took off. It took off. It sort of flipped backwards from, back behind where the footpath was, and thankfully nobody was walking there that I recall. I mean, there was nobody lying injured on the ground, so that was good. One, the I don't think I had gotten the canopy. So Victoria and the girl next to me were holding onto it, and I was trying to get the canopy off so it would stop blowing away. The side that Victoria was holding was all twisted and it looked bent, and I just assumed that the whole thing was broken. And so one side sort of looked a bit normal, the other side just looked like a pretzel, a big white metal pretzel. So I got the top off, and then we tried going around and unclipping, like I put the legs in, just trying to get it smaller so I could try and get it out of the way. And like the only thing I kept thinking of was, how the hell am I going to get this thing in my car if I can't get the legs down and get it folded up, and I can't just leave it there, and I can't stuff it into a garbage bin, and what do I do? And it was, and meanwhile the wind is blowing everyone else's stuff around too, and everybody had their own shit to deal with. But I got the legs shortened, and then we got the top parts clipped, the ones that sort of lock the frame into place. We got them unclipped and eventually got them down. And then I think Victoria had to get back to her stall. She might be able to fill me in on this later, but yeah, Victoria had to get back to her stall. And in that time, we sort of managed to get the legs that had pretzeled straightened out, and it was just a matter of just popping it back into the right place. It wasn't broken, it wasn't bent, it was just twisted, I think. And so the whole thing just folded up as normal. I don't know what sort of condition it's in. I'm not with it enough to go downstairs now and actually try. So maybe tomorrow I'll get it out and I'll set it up in the garden without any walls or canopy on it, and I will check all the pop rivets and make sure everything's okay before I actually use it again. In the 2 years plus that I've been doing the markets, I've never had a wind like that. I mean, I've had strong winds, but I've never had anything like that. And it was just an absolutely stupid mistake that I didn't double check that I had all 4 weights in the car, because I don't think it would have taken off. So my next plan, after I set the gazebo up again and I check what sort of condition it's in, I have to do some other repairs. So what I need to do is, there is a big rip on the corner of my canopy, but that was nothing to do with today. That was already there. So I just want to strengthen that, but I want some white tape because I've got a white canopy. The other thing that I need to do will be to fix my sandbags. So what I've got, I'll see if I can find a picture of it, but they're about, I guess, 40, 50 centimeters high. They're a solid black bag with some Velcro straps on it, and you can fill it up with sand or gravel or whatever. I've got it actually full of river pebbles, and they are filthy heavy. They are like really, really heavy. I haven't actually weighed them. I think I'm going to go and try and do that. One of them, the one that I realized I hadn't put in the car, has actually sort of torn where I dragged it on the concrete once, and so the bottom's coming out. So what I'm going to do is get some black duct tape. I'm going to patch up the holes on the bottom and any other little holes that have happened in it, and then I'm going to leave all the river pebbles in it because, I mean, for size-wise, they're heavier than sand. But I'm also going to go to Bunnings and pick up a bag of river sand, and I'm going to use that to fill the gaps in between all the river pebbles, just to add some more strength to it. What I want to do then is to get some bigger, thicker strips of Velcro so that I can Velcro this thing around the legs like it's, I mean, so it's got straps. So if say, here's a nugget. So that's the bag. It's got some Velcro pieces that come off the side, and you wrap them around the leg. But what I want to do is get some thicker black Velcro, or thicker Velcro, I don't care what color it is, thicker Velcro, and just go right around the whole thing, just for a little bit of extra strength. So yeah, stupid mistake on my part. Nobody was hurt. One of my grids, the black grids that I use, one of those broke, because they sort of kept twisting, and yeah, so they broke. My shelf, well, let me put in, I can't remember if it's videos or pictures, but let me put it in and I'll just show you what I could get a picture of before I started the big cleanup. This was after I'd got the gazebo and the grid walls down. But yeah, this is, and then wait till you hear what happened. Anyway, have a look at this. This is what happened afterwards. So only one bamboo shelf actually fell over, and that one fell over, I think, because that new shelf that I had, which is really, really heavy, so I'm not sure how that, I mean, obviously that's how strong the wind was that blew that one over. It could have also been the gazebo taking off, might have taken that out, now that I think about it. So yeah, those things fell over. There were toys everywhere. There were plushies in next door stall. There was signs. There was, I used pieces of felt on the shelves, and they had blown off everywhere. As I was packing up later, I was finding chickens and ducks and stuff underneath everything. So it was like the rubble, and I was thinking, if you've ever watched The Simpsons, there was a episode where something happened in Ned Flanders' house and it collapsed. And then someone said, "Hey, Ned, come and look at this." And he's like, "Oh, what, is the rubble burnt down now?" And that's what I was thinking as I was packing up. I mean, it wasn't that dramatic, but yeah, it was a bit, a little bit stressful. So that was, I'm guessing, probably around 11:45, 12-ish, probably a bit before 11:45. So maybe, let's say somewhere between half 11 and 12. Because I got home at about 12:40, and the market doesn't usually finish. We don't pack up until about 1:30. So yeah, that was, there was no more mucking around. There was no trying to save the day. Even though I'd put the gazebo down, I'd straightened up the shelves, it was too windy. The wind was getting worse. The gusts were getting stronger. Everybody else was packing up. The organizer had been around, and she said, "Look, if you want to start packing up, that's fine." And I said, "Can we bring the cars in?" She said, "No." But then she said yes to someone else, and people started bringing their cars in. So I did the pack up. Victoria called her husband. He came and helped her with her clean up and her pack up. And then, car in, and off I went home with my $61. And then I had to come home and pay $50 for the space. So that was market day. Who's stupid? Me. Will I do that again? No, I will not. So yeah, it was a day after a week that was a hell of a week. So I'm just looking at myself here. I am feeling a little disheveled, and I think I'm actually looking a little disheveled. It's Saturday evening, but I haven't shoveled myself yet, so I look like trash, and I don't care right now. As I said earlier, it's been a little bit of a tricky week. Nothing major, there's people with more serious issues, but it's all relative, and yeah, it has been a slightly difficult week, and that just topped it off. So tomorrow I plan on sitting at home and doing sweet FA. I don't know. I just went out and bought a ring light, so if I put my glasses on, look at that, I got a ring light. So hopefully the lighting's a little bit better now. I imagine the sound is a bit affected because the phone's a bit further away, so I'll have to check on that and maybe turn up the volume when I do the editing. So at the markets, I was crocheting. I started crocheting last night, and then I did a fair bit at the markets, and then I came home and I'm like, okay, well, let's finish this thing. So I'll just quickly show you that while I'm looking at it. Some of that yarn that I showed you earlier that I got at the sewing basket yesterday. So it's a really rich, deep red. So I just made a strawberry loaf cat. Now I'm looking in the camera. I'm not real sure about the white, but I did do black, and I was not liking the black, so I'm just going to leave the white. So yeah, that's done. That's just a freehand. It's got a big fat belly, and it's got tiny, tiny, tiny little legs, so it sits really weird. But at this point, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. So I guess one good thing is that I don't have to restock 3 key rings, a pig, an elephant, and a bee, although actually, yes, I do. Okay, I'll restock the bee because the black and yellow bees do go really well. But I guess that means like I get a week off if I want, or I can use the time to restock. So, when things get busy another time, I don't have to worry about restocking, or I can just make things that I like, or I can, I've got a bazillion other things that I can do apart from crochet. I can, let me just turn this around. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. I'm going to switch the camera around. I don't know if you can see, but in my room I have piles and piles and piles of yarn waiting to be put away. So that might be something that I can do in the meantime is pack up all this yarn because I... oh, stop the world, I want to get off. Anyway, so yeah, if you had all the time in the world and you could make something awesome because you've got mountains and mountains and mountains of yarn, what would you make? Because, I've got all these patterns and all this yarn and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I don't know what to do, so I make a friggin' loaf cat again. The last thing I need is more loaf cats. I don't have any space on my stall, so if I do make anything, it'll be stored somewhere. I may put it on Marketplace, but there's so many people doing crochet stuff on Marketplace now, it's not funny. Yeah, so there we go. There's my story today. It was a, it was a shitstorm. Yeah, literally. Literally, because a dog pooped in Victoria's stall. I nearly put that on Market Vendor Bingo. So she probably would have won. But it was a crappy, crappy, crappy day. So apologies to Victoria because that was her first time at that market. Hopefully it won't be her last because it usually is a very good market. And like I've said, that's the first time I've had destructo wins like that. And it was my own fault. But many, many, many thanks to Victoria and to Gabby from the stall next door, who is not watching this. But anyway, let it be known that I do appreciate their help because if I'd been on my own there, I don't know how I would have managed that one. And it was great. People come and check. And then the other young guy at the markets who sells crochet, he came around and he was helping people. He must have packed up his stuff, but he came around, he was helping people put down their gazebos and everybody sort of pitched in. And I remember one of the first times I was at that market, the lady opposite me, there was a gust of wind and she had no weights on her gazebo, and the whole thing, the front section buckled and bent and snapped and fell down and hit her in the face and knocked her stuff over. And everybody just sort of ran to help her. And not that you would just stand there and watch, but yeah, it's just nice that people pitch in, and then people from all the way down the other end of the market came to help. So I don't know if they got the wind as bad, but they were packing up definitely. It's disappointing that nobody did very well at that market, and a lot of damage. So I may be up for a new gazebo, I've got no idea. While I'm bitching about things though, can you believe, you saw what my shelf looked like, right? The 2 shelves tipped over, plushies absolutely everywhere, people packing up, things spilled, things broken, everybody sort of rushing around trying to get things sorted. And this woman comes into the stall with her child and is browsing stuff. There is shit everywhere. There are plushies everywhere. And this woman brings her child in, looking at things and actually asking me how much things are. I'm like, you have got to be joking. Like, seriously, you've got to be kidding. It's like this, like before all of this happened, and I was sort of hanging, I was standing at the front of my gazebo and I was holding onto one of the legs and just trying to adjust the grids that had moved. And this woman stopped and she's like, do you sell much? I'm like, yeah. And she says, oh, I went to Panania. I make these things too. And I went to Panania and I didn't sell anything. I said, okay, I'm trying to hold this down. The wind's blowing. Stuff's falling over. I'm trying to fix this. And she looks at my sandbags and she says, oh, you need to have those flat weight ones that slot in. And I'm like, these are fine for now. Thank you very much. I'm good. And yeah, she just kept butting in with, like, and then she was filming all my stuff because she's like, oh, I make all this crochet stuff and I go to all these markets and I can't sell anything and blah, blah. How does it go? What's Panania like? But I'm like, just like, oh man, like, oh, like I know that I rate as profound on the autism communication levels, but I'm not that profoundly. I'm not going to go in the middle of a mini disaster and question and try to shop at someone's. What's wrong with people? I don't. Oh man, I don't understand people. I do not understand people. Like, I can't. Anyway. It could have been worse. It wasn't worse. Nobody was hurt. Nothing special was damaged. My one of my grids is broken. I can throw that out because I don't care. It was only $4. My gazebo may be busted, but I don't care because I can pick up another frame off Marketplace for like $50, maybe $80. I've got 3 canopies. I don't need any more canopies. Victoria was okay. Her stuff was okay. Her husband can fix a few things, so that's good. People next to me, they had like, I don't know, their things must have been made of titanium or something because their gazebos did not budge at all. So, which was great because then she was free to help my disaster. I have learned a lesson, which I will not let happen again. I'll make sure I've packed everything. I will strengthen my sandbags and I will now go and have some dinner and watch something stupid on YouTube and maybe pick up a crochet hook, but at the moment I just can't be asked. I don't even know what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. So anyhow, now that you've listened to this bundle of misery again, thank you if you're stuck with me. Total sales, 6 items, $61, in the red for $1. Maybe more if I have to replace my gazebo. It's the way of it. Shit happens. Got another market next week. It's a nighttime one. I haven't done a nighttime market before. I'll have to contact them during the week and find out how that one works. And then the next weekend I've got a Friday. No, I don't. I have a Saturday morning and a Saturday night. So I don't know. Let's see. We'll just see how this goes. Things could be worse. Like I've said, it's all relative. What feels like a disaster for me would probably be an okay day for someone else, I guess. It's Sunday morning and I'm redoing the end of my video because yesterday ended up in a rather mentally dysregulated place, and today I've been out for a walk. I've done the shopping, I've put a load of washing in, and I've been crocheting and watching something on TV. I couldn't tell you what it was. Feeling a little bit more level today and a little less dystopian. I don't know, a little less like the world is collapsing, which is my mental go-to state when things go a little bit wrong. But at the end of a tricky week, that was to be expected. But anyway, I'm going to delete the end of that, starting the ending fresh, because look, in hindsight, it as I said, it wasn't so bad. It could have been much worse. Nothing was broken. Nothing important was damaged. Nobody was hurt. So it ended much better than it could have done. It was just a little bit of a shock after a tricky week. So I wanted to actually talk about the people who actually came and bought something. There was one lady with 3 kids who bought 3 key rings, but 2 ladies came in and they ended up buying my small elephant and my small my tiny big fat pig, little fat pig. And they first looked, they were looking my mids. So I rearranged all my shelving. So if anyone has watched the channel How to Craft Fair, I highly recommend it if you're interested in stepping up the quality of your market space. He does videos where people send in their stalls and he goes through and tells you all different aspects of improvement and what's working. Anyway, he mentioned not to put your cheapest things at the front, which makes sense. So I moved my mids to the front because they get very little attention. So I had them, instead of having my shelves side by side along my tables, at the front of my booth, I had my mids facing out, and then I had my other shelves going behind it that way. So as you walked up, it was that panel of mids that you saw first. Anyway, these ladies stopped there and they were saying, "Oh, this is cute, this is cute." And then the older, it was a middle-aged woman and her mum. And the mum said, "Oh, look, yeah, but these are no good because they've got those eyes and they could be a choking hazard." And I said, "Yep, absolutely. So have a look around the shelf." She came over to me with something with safety eyes in it, and she said, "How safe and how secure are these eyes?" And I said, "It totally depends on a child because we know that children could do anything. Some child might have a lot of difficulty biting those eyes out. Another child might just be a bit of a MacGyver in the mouth and get those things out straight away." So I said, "Look, I can't guarantee they're not intended for babies to chew on and pull on." And then I showed her something where I had embroidered eyes. I said, "If you have a look around, there's quite a bit of stuff with embroidered eyes, which would be much safer if you intend on giving it to a baby." So anyway, she was looking around, and the mother, I guess, would have been about the same age as mine, mid-70s. She was looking really confused, and she said, "Did you make all of this?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And she said, "And I'm struggling because it was such an unusual question." And she said something like, "They knitted or crocheted or something." I said, "Yes, they're crocheted." And she said, and does it come like that and you assemble them?" And I said, "No, I just make them." And she said, "Yes, but do you make squares?" And so she's got a thing in her hand, and she's like indicating the crochet fabric of it. And she's saying, "Do you crochet this in a square and then sew it into the animals, or do you crochet the shape?" And I said, "No, I crochet the shape." I said, "Square crochet is something completely different, usually for blankets, maybe for clothing, something like that." I said, "These are just crocheted into the shape." And she looked stunned, like this was a completely foreign concept. And no criticism, because it was like a really genuine question, but I was kind of stumped. I'd never even considered that some people might think of it like that. Like, I know that people come in and they say, they're thinking Temu or just, mass order from somewhere and you didn't make them. But to actually ask if the things were assembled from sheets of crocheted fabric and then stitched together, that was a really, really unusual question. So yeah, that was it was a surprise. And now I'm thinking, if you did crochet squares of things and then you did them on a sewing machine, I guess, but I'd be worried about the threads pulling out unless you use some really tight stitches. But so I'd completely forgotten about that yesterday, so that was really interesting. And then nothing else happened at the markets except that we saw a child from our school, and he's like, "Miss, what are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm doing this. What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm riding my electric scooter through the middle of the park with a friend." But he had a helmet on, so points for him for having a helmet. Victoria was a little horrified, I think, to see a school child out in the wild on the weekend. But, I live in the area, she does too-ish. But yeah, I see them out all the time, so it's not a big deal. At the moment, I don't have to make anything for markets, and so I had a little bit of an urge this morning because I've had a thought niggling in the back of my mind about my farm animals that I've been threatening a pattern for a really long time. They were modelled after a metal chicken that I have on my balcony in a pot plant, and it has a straight back and a curved belly. And so what I was going for was a cone shape that was straight at the back and triangle at the front, and that's what I've made. And I've written up the pattern for a duck, a chicken, a cow, a pig, and a sheep. But I've sold a couple of them at the markets, and there was nothing wrong with the pattern, but being straight at the back and belly at the front, they kept tipping. They didn't stand very well. So what I was thinking was just to make a regular cone shape. And so I've started doing that this morning with the duck. So this is as far as I've gotten with the duck. It's a bit wonkalated because of I'm learning my lesson. I didn't stuff as I went. I stuff at the end because I don't like crocheting into things that have been stuffed. But anyway, this is just a trial version and it will go to markets. This is Aldi, the Aldi baby yellow yarn. So I've done this a little bit differently. I've made I've done the base differently. And then I've tried to make this a bit more regular cone. Other than that, it's exactly the same. So it just doesn't have that straight back that the other ones did. And what that means is it stands up properly. I have done something slightly different, and what I'm experimenting with is a no count pattern. So I'm doing this in a way where you don't, I mean, you could if you wanted to count the stitches, but I'm doing it in a way where you wouldn't have to if you didn't want to, if you're like me and you like to just race on ahead. But if you're not confident, it should work quite easily as well. So I'm going to try with this dark, and then I might get that out into a little bit of a tester call, just to test the concept, not to test the final pattern for release. And then if the concept of no count crochet works, then I will put together the rest of the package. So I should have this finished today. So it's got its little wings on. All I've got to do now is to put some eyes and a beak. Now I didn't put safety eyes because the top of the cone comes in quite narrow. They would probably be okay if you melted the ends, but I'm just going to go with safety eyes because, as I said, it's just a trial version. So if you have an interest in perhaps test driving a no count pattern, it's not entirely no count, but it will be no count for probably the majority of the body. If you're interested in that, then let me know and hit me up on Instagram, or you can leave a message here, or you can contact me via email, whatever you like. I'll also put out a prototype tester call on the Instagram as well. So yeah, I'm kind of back into the swing of that today because I didn't have anything else to do, and my mind in the background is still racing on something pending, and I just need to keep my brain busy. So I went for a walk down the shops. I bought some things that I need to cook because I don't batch crochet, but I batch cook because I don't really like cooking, and I prefer when I get home just to grab something at the freezer and whack at the microwave. So I do cook in big batches. So that's it. I wanted to end on a bit more of a positive because my mood was not the greatest yesterday. So again, if you are a new subscriber, I'm not always, well, a lot of the time I'm doom and gloom, but that's just me. Yesterday was an outlier as far as days go, and I just wanted to finish on a positive. So thank you for hanging around if you stuck with me for this long. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome. I am really glad to have you here. I've had a few emails over the last couple of days saying new subscriber. So that's really exciting. I have a sale on my Etsy, so I know I missed the Black Friday thing because, I mean, we have Black Friday sales here, but I actually have no idea of what it's all about, and I don't usually shop those crazy things anyway. So my Big Fat Pig, my Magic Mushrooms, and my Blossom are now 25% off on my Etsy. It's part of their cyber sale thing, or black whatever it is sale, but I'll extend it when it's done. So if you don't catch it until a little bit later, don't stress. I will extend my 25% discount. So that's it. I am going to try and have a good day, get a few things done, probably along the lines of housework, but that's good because that will keep me busy. And I will get back to you next weekend after probably my first nighttime market. So have a fabulous week, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.